I'm in Sheffield city centre today for what's been billed by some people as the Worldwide Day for Freedom. It's the end of coming up to the end of January. Most of the restrictions, or the coronavirus restrictions, have been lifted, or are going to be lifted, I think, next week. It's not all completely over though. People are concerned that the restrictions might be brought back in the near future if it's deemed convenient. And of course the NHS have still got the mandatory vaccines to contend with. And at today's protest we've got quite a lot of NHS workers who are still going to be at risk of losing the jobs in a month or two's time if they don't have the jab. Health Secretary Sajid Javid doesn't appear to be backtracking on that. Hopefully he will, but he might not. And we've got a very good turnout here in Sheffield today. Definitely one of the biggest turnouts we've had since Piers Corbyn came back in September 2020. Don't think we've had a turnout as big as this since then.
Well, as we know, I think Boris has only introduced these restrictions, or alleviated restrictions, just to save his own skin. I think there's a possibility that they could, at a moment's notice, they could just reintroduce them. Think of the right reason, and they can reintroduce them. Yeah.
No face coverings, no jabs, no lockdowns. Are you glad the government's finally, almost done away with it? Do you think they might come back?
Well, probably. I don't trust it at all. So, no, I don't trust what they say. They said that they wouldn't come back in July last year, didn't they?
They did indeed, yeah.
No.
I love my job and I am going to lose it. And I'm going to lose it, and I don't care whether you are vaccinated or unvaccinated. I am thrilled that you have had that choice. And I want people to continue to have that choice. Once we lose it for this, we lose it for who knows what. When the moment comes when you decide you don't want anything else, you don't want your children to have anything, not just this, you might not have a choice. I haven't got a choice anymore. The third reason I stand here is because I can't stand the divide that is going on, and what I'm going to say to you now is really awful. I have read something recently about the unvaccinated having separate exits and entrances into healthcare provision. For those of you who know anything about history, World War II, apartheid in South Africa, this is where it starts. It's got to stop.
I'm a former NHS GP. I left the NHS about 8 years ago. It was broken then, it's broken now. It needs fixing, but for now, we just have to do what we can to keep it going. We need it. We all need it. Even the people that don't know it need it. I have a son who's at second year medical school who is now being threatened. He has to leave his course if he doesn't take the vaccine. I have two other sons who have also held the line. You have to hold the line. All of us have to do this. When he went for his interviews at medical school, they taught him, they hassled him, they grilled him on medical ethics, bodily autonomy, informed consent, beneficence. You need to stand for those things. We are being told, he is being told now that he doesn't have those rights. He deserves them, we all deserve them. Please hold your ground, hold your nerve and hold your line.
So are you at risk of losing your job in the near future?
Yes. April the 1st, April Fool's Day.
We've got a chronic understaffing problem in the NHS, as a lot of people have complained about. Do you think the NHS can afford to lose maybe 100,000 people?
I think it'll crumble and it's going to have serious difficulties. Personally, I think it's done on purpose to privatise the NHS. My main concern, which is that they're doing this to the NHS now. They're maybe going to do this to the rest of the country. But for the NHS as a whole, I am definitely concerned. One of my other big concerns is that the NHS is one of the biggest employers in the country. They are so powerful, but they act like they're not. They act like stooges for the government. And they can stand up to the government. We have the manpower, we have the resources. They can stand up to the government and question why they're doing this. Yeah, because it's going to undermine the NHS. And I'm really absolutely astounded that the chief execs and what have you are not standing up to the government and saying, no, we're not going to do this. This is going to make us crumble, and this will make us crumble if it goes ahead.
100,000 people are going to lose their jobs. Can the NHS afford to lose 100,000 staff, do you think?
Obviously, we know the answer to that is no, they can't. Unfortunately, I don't see them turning on this one. They're still going to use the coercion techniques to try and push it as far as they can to get them to, take these unnecessary jabs. But of course, I think there's greater policies beyond that they deliberately want to create some kind of destruction of the NHS, to bring in the private, bring in different forms. Going forward, I know it's going a bit beyond, but in the future you've got robo-care workers, all sorts. I know it seems impossible now, but it all leads into the narrative to say we need to introduce these changes.
I've never been to one of these protests before, but I'm going to lose my job as well. And I believe it's really, really important for a number of reasons. The first reason is that every nurse, every health professional, they've been taught to do evidence-based practice, which means that they're meant to look at different sources and not just follow the government line. Every nurse and health professional knows that every single time the government is changed, that the health advice is changed. Research is changed. 1 year, for example, it's good to have red wine. Next year, it's not good to have red wine. It's good to have sugar, not good to have sugar, not good to have salt. It changes every single year. I worked for 6 months without any PPE whatsoever. I had colleagues that died. They were prepared to put their life on their line to protect patients and keep people safe. They were terrified, but we did it anyway because we believe in protecting and helping people. And the health secretary has the audacity to say that, and even Boris Johnson saying that it's mumbo jumbo if we question the government. Let me ask you one question. This is not about conspiracy. This is black and white facts. Do we know that the government doesn't always tell us the truth? We know that the government lies. Does Boris Johnson lie about what's happening? So why should we believe 100% when they are telling us to take something into our bodies that's against human rights, it's against ethics, it's against democracy, it's against everything that we've been taught as doctors and nurses about choice and freedom of choice.
I've been photographed hugging a colleague at work by someone, and someone sent it to the chief executive, and I had 2 disciplinary meetings for hugging a fellow human being, which I just find... You are? 2 disciplinary meetings for hugging someone in team base. Yeah. So, yes, they are indeed.
So I have seen people die of COVID. So I'm sorry people think that's not true. I've seen people die of it. But I've also seen people die of the vaccines. People that are perfectly healthy. People that have not had underlying conditions. And just a thought for all you health professionals out there. Can you tell me anybody who's never died of an underlying condition? You always die of an underlying condition, whether it's a heart attack, whether it's old age, whatever it is. So the question is not whether it's an underlying condition, the question is, what is that underlying condition?
If they go ahead with these mandates, do you think it'll trickle down into other kinds of professions, like maybe councils, universities, and even the private sector?
Yeah, exactly, and that does worry me. I mean, the point is that, everybody is basically towing the government line. And what you've got to remember, just because they're in power doesn't mean they're right. And what they tell us is the truth. I mean, I'm absolutely astounded that people still believe what the government are telling them when they're lying to their faces every single day. I mean, if you look at the parties, if they can have blatant parties out there and lie about them and say that, they're not aware of these parties, how much else can they lie about? I'm dumbfounded by the general populace saying, believing what the government's saying. I'm just I'm gobsmacked really.
I'm double jabbed. I've got a heart condition as a result. And if I had not had that, I would never, ever have started to question that my government were not for my health. So it's the best thing that ever happened, because I learned how to look just under the surface. And honestly, we do not need to look far to realise that this is about control. Yes! We are in a spiritual war. It's already been done, but we have to stand shoulder to shoulder.
So it's fantastic to see so many people out here. We felt pretty lonely in Sheffield fighting against all of this. So it's fantastic we've got so many out, and can we double the number next weekend? Because we're not 100% sure what Mr. Jabbett's going to do. So if they drop it back, that's fine, but if they don't, we need double the number out next week. But I think all through this, the media's been the virus. Not saying there's no virus, but I think there's been 95% spin by the media and only 5% truth. So we'll have a walk down to Radio Sheffield now.
Freedom!
Freedom! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Are you pleased with the turnout today? Do you think the BBC do a good job of reporting on the whole situation?
No.
I think a lot are agreeing with you. Well, they're getting some decent support from passers-by, although I have a feeling that there's no one in at the BBC. That's one of the issues with the local media these days. A lot of local radio stations and lots of local papers have closed down in recent years, simply because they want to save money, and I know the BBC often doesn't do anything. Doesn't do as much local content as it once did. We're outside the BBC, outside Radio Sheffield. Do you think the BBC and the other mass media have done a good job of reporting over the last couple of years?
Atrocious, honestly. It's absolutely atrocious. They know this is happening. The BBC knows this is happening. If this isn't aired on every channel this evening, I'd be disgusted. The fact that the BBC in Sheffield haven't turned up to this, were not aware of this, it just astounds me. It's to lose this kind of number in the NHS is the biggest thing that's going to happen to the NHS for a few decades, since its start. And the fact that they're not covering it is just, again, astounding. Why aren't they covering it? Why are they not aware of it? We've asked a few employees just now to say, do you know about this protest? And they were like oblivious to it. I mean, if you're a reporter, you have to go out there and find the stories and find out what's happening. We're out there telling you this is happening and you're still not coming to it. I don't understand that.